Sometimes the best stories in golf aren't found on tour. You'll find them at the back of the range. And here's your host, Ben Adelberg.
And welcome to the Back of the Range Golf Podcast. I am your host, Ben Adelberg. This is episode 138. Very exciting week down here in South Florida for me personally. I am finally getting back out on the golf course. It has been far too long. I'm excited to get out there no matter what the swing looks or feels like. Who cares? I'm going to play hooky from work this week for a couple days, play some golf. You know, the bogeys won't mean that much, and the birdies will mean even more. So can't wait for that. Can't wait to see all my friends. And I promise all of my friends at Quail, we will take care of the place just fine this summer. Despite the fact that I will be spending some more time on the golf course, you know that I will continue to bring you some amazing episodes. Kind of on a USGA kick right now, which is kind of interesting. Sometimes it just works out that way. Last week, Doc Redman was my guest, 2017 U.S. Amateur Champion and Walker Cupper. The week before, caught up with one of his teammates, Will Zalatoris, as he gave us a recap of that Merido event in Dallas, Texas. Funny enough, as I was preparing this episode, I reached out to Will because there was a little bit of rumor going around that they were going to try and do another one of those events. And yeah, they are doing that again, May 19th to the 21st. So that will basically be a week from today, week from tomorrow, something like that. So next week, there will be another Merido event, another fundraiser. So hopefully I'll have some more information on that tournament as well. I have another USGA champion featured on this episode, but before I provide a brief introduction, remember, follow along on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Leave a review in Apple Podcast. Once I get some more towels in stock, I will definitely start sending some of those out to you. And don't forget, you can get every single episode in the history of this podcast if you just go to the website, thebackoftherange.com. Don't forget also Sunday, big day, big match at Seminole on NBC. Make sure that you record this. It will be the first time you will see this course on television, and you probably won't see it again until next May when Seminole hosts the Walker Cup. Now, on to my guest on this episode, Meghan Stasi. You know, I went back, I looked at just about every previous episode here at the Back of the Range, 137 episodes, and I think I calculated it correctly. I've featured just over 20 former USGA champions. U.S. amateur champions like Victor Hovland and Kristen Gilman, U.S. four-ball champs like Cole Hammer and Garrett Barber. Most of them only have one title to their name. You know, there's a couple multiple winners in there like Spider Miller, who won a couple U.S. Mid-Ams in the 90s. Jay Sigel, he has 3 U.S. Mid-Ams and back-to-back U.S. Ams. But when you start looking at players who have won 4 titles in the same event, well, that list is pretty small. Of course, Jack Nicklaus won 4 Opens. You got Bobby Jones, Carol Semple Thompson, Nathan Smith. Well, Meghan's on that list too. She has won 4 United States Women's Mid-Amateur Championships. We spoke about her career in the game, how she never turned pro, her coaching career at Ole Miss, and her approach to the game. She's still out there competing. She had a chance to also compete in the Curtis Cup at the old course in St. Andrews. And I don't want to give away too much, but celebrating your birthday in St. Andrews during the Curtis Cup that you're playing in could not possibly get any better. Could it? Spoiler alert, it did. Another very cool thing I learned about Meghan during this episode is that she helps out from time to time at her husband's restaurant, Shuck-n-Dive Cajun Cafe in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And, once I find out that her husband's a Jayhawk fan, well, I can't help myself. I'm going to plug the hell out of the restaurant. They're doing some amazing things right now for their community during the coronavirus pandemic. So if you are in the area and you want to have a day's worth of calories in just one sitting, I will put the link to the restaurant in the show notes. Go check them out. Go tell them that you heard this episode at the Back of the Range. Let's get started. Meghan, you're at the Back of the Range. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor.
Well, let's not get carried away. But we're kind of, I'm letting listeners know when we're recording these episodes since everything has kind of been flipped and turned upside down with the coronavirus. So today's April 22nd, and I thought it would be interesting to kind of get your perspective as not only as someone that can't get out on the golf course right now, but pretty tightly involved with a small local business that is in the food industry. So what are you doing during this pandemic to try and not only, keep busy and mentally sharp, or obviously just mentally sane, not being able to play golf, but what about your day-to-day job?
Well, sane's a good way of putting it. So we're all day to day is just, it's about the same. I can't believe it's been going on for about 5 weeks now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do own a local restaurant. We're very fortunate. It's a local spot, and we're still fully staffed, and we're doing a lot of takeout. A lot of businesses are ordering, large orders for their company because they don't want their staff going out during the week either, during the day. So we're doing a lot of local businesses, done some catering for the hospitals, and just trying to stay busy. We've got a lot of projects going on, and it's never thought I would watch paint dry, but I'm doing a lot of painting, and I am literally watching paint dry. So
that's pretty accurate for all of us, and then you're actually doing it. So
yeah.
wow. So the restaurant Shuck-n-Dive down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Cajun food. I'm gonna finish up this episode with a question to you because I'll let you think about it now. So I've been really trying to, watch what I eat and not completely fall off the wagon. But if I was to fall off the wagon at your restaurant, just completely an avalanche of calories coming my way, I want you to think about it. But later on, I want you to tell me what am I going to completely binge on at the restaurant. But before you tell me that, let's start a little bit more at the beginning. You're a native of Voorhees, New Jersey, which I could not help but notice is about 15 minutes away from Pine Valley. So before we talk a little bit about your career and your playing career and your coaching career, tell me about the first time you played at Pine Valley.
Oh, the first time, I can't tell you what year it was, but very fortunate to have played several times, and I've always been able to play with Dr. Bonner, and obviously it's a Sunday afternoon and after 12. So we started it in May. My birthday's in May, so we got the first invite years and years ago, and it's just an honor to be there on any day or any time, any round, and with Dr. Bonner, because he's just a special man. And he has a daughter that plays as well, so I've gotten to play with her several times. And I think the first time I was able to play the par 3 course as well. So the first time I played, the weather was suspect. So we arrive and it's drizzling, and we're looking at the weather, and there is absolutely just red and yellow everywhere surrounding us. We have lunch inside, and it's just, Doc's like, do you want to wait? I'm like, well, this is my first time. When am I going to ever be able to come back? I don't know when the next time is. So hard to be able to play. It's Sunday afternoon, and there's only 52 Sundays, and half of them are already taken.
Yeah.
With the weather and everything else. So we we eat lunch, we wait. I mean, there's maybe one other group out there, and we keep looking at the radar, and Doc's like, I just don't see anything. I was like, Doc, see that little opening right there? He's like, no. I'm like, just trust me. It's gonna be okay. So we play the first 4 holes. It is, it feels like you're playing in Scotland almost, just sideways, and it's cold. It's May, and it's usually warm and still rains a little bit, but it is just storming. And after the 4th hole, we make the 4th hole, and it is absolutely spectacular. The storm clears,
nice.
And the entire round was just absolutely perfect after that. So, that was the first of several rounds, and just been fortunate to be able to go back and play Pine Valley several times.
What was your first take on actually? I mean, obviously there's so much history out there, and it's such a special place. But I was lucky enough to get an invite to go enjoy that place and play the par 3 and just kind of get the full experience. But what was kind of your immediate takeaway from people that are listening that have never played Pine Valley, but they've heard the stories or they've seen the pictures? almost, I guess, similar to like an Augusta National, where you don't get it until you actually get on the property. What was kind of your takeaway, or did it all just go by in a just a flash?
The first time, it's you try to soak it all in, and it's wow, it's an experience. Caddies are unbelievable. You kind of just hope you can get back to experience it again. And I like I said, I've been fortunate to be able to play. So now I can remember a lot more shots, and I can remember, where try not to go. It is a lot like an Augusta. I have not played Augusta, but it is a lot like an Augusta where until you're on the grounds, I mean, you don't realize that you're in Jersey. You don't realize you're in South Jersey. It's just beautiful. And what they've done, the work over the last, 5-10 years since I've been playing it's unbelievable. So just to see the changes every year, just very fortunate to be able to have that experience.
How much money did you drop in the pro shop for souvenirs? Was it ugly?
What time?
Okay. So have you taken out a small business loan to offset your?
Yeah, they they love it. The only way I can shop in there is after I had a couple Guinness,
nice,
and of course, 1 or 2 transfusions. So you shop a lot better when you've had a couple. So
those transfusions are no joke.
Yeah,
it's actually very funny you mentioned that, because I think the first episode I recorded, not the first one posted, but the first episode I recorded was an old college teammate of mine, Willie Spicer. I think it was episode 4. And we literally got into, during the episode, the intricacies of a properly made transfusion.
Oh, so, I think I did listen to that one. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So is he on point where he talks about the Welch's grape juice? I mean, is that... It has to be Welch's.
100%.
Okay.
100%. Yes. 100%.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, I'm glad that he's not completely, full of it. So that's perfect. Well, I had the similar experience there. You're kind of kid in a candy shop, and eyes kind of glaze over, and then before you know it, you're on your way out of there, and you're like, wait, what just happened? So
yeah, there's a so on right next to the bar, there's a scorecards. And only the very special scorecards are up there. And one of them is Annika. And, of course, Annika shoots, I believe it was par.
Right.
And, there's only 2 par 5s out there. So to shoot 70 at Pine Valley from, I believe it's the white tees, members tees, it's not easy. So every time I go out there, I try and I try and I try. And I've been close. But, that's our special thing with me and Doc is I'm able to get out there and try once again. So, but it's not easy.
Well, I hope you get out there again soon. Hope I get out there again soon. Hope I get on a golf course again soon. I mean, in Pine Valley shooting the moon, but something that resembles normality would be great. So your start in the game, you're the oldest of 5. Your parents did foster care, so I'm guessing it's kind of a unique upbringing where I've spoken to numerous guests where that runs the gamut, getting dropped off at the local muni, and they just stay there from sun up to sundown, and or maybe their parent is a PGA professional. I've heard all sorts of stories, but tell me a little bit about your upbringing in athletics, and then also finding your way to golf.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been reminiscing a lot lately because I started jogging again. Once you get out of the exercising, it's a tough thing to get back into. And I'm just thinking about all the summers that, oh my goodness, we would be dropped off at whatever camp was available, playing basketball and soccer and golf on the, not golf, obviously, on the asphalt, the steaming asphalt during the summer in Jersey. Jersey's hot in the summer.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that, but every day I go out there and I'm running on the street. I'm like, oh man, we just had a very fantastic growing up. My mom played 3 sports in college. My dad pitched baseball for Xavier in Ohio. So that's all we knew. We only knew sports growing up, right. And I wouldn't change anything. Played 3 sports in in high school. I probably got into it when I was about 8 years old. But we just, whatever was available, we were playing. So it was just a blast.
And then did you specialize in golf at some point, or did you just kind of play everything up until, I mean, you played collegiately at Tulane. When did you actually start to specialize, or did you?
Good question. I really didn't specialize it really until I got to college.
Okay.
Even when I got to college, we we were athletes, so all of us would sign up for intramural basketball, intramural soccer. We didn't think anything of it until one day my coach found out that our team won a trip for basketball, I believe, to California. She's like, "Since when have you been playing intramural sports?" I'm like, "Since day one." So
the golf team wins a trip to play intramural basketball in California. It's kind of hard to satisfy your collegiate golf duties when you're in California playing basketball.
I mean, so I'm sure it was over the summer or something like that. But that nixed that. We still did play a lot of, sports. If it was, frisbee golf, and we just we were very, very active. And I did it honestly up. I played 3 sports in high school, like I said. I didn't know if I was going to play basketball or soccer or golf in college. I had different scholarships in different sports, and I knew I wanted to play golf when I knew I wouldn't wanted to play it for the rest of my life. And that's really what got me. And Tulane, couldn't say no to Tulane. Tulane is unbelievable school, and the opportunity that was offered was I couldn't say no to.
Now, New Orleans, obviously, that's you're going to Tulane, being in New Orleans, and then now having a Cajun restaurant. I mean, obviously, there's a theme here. So, but when did I guess just you fell in love with New Orleans in during college? Did you have any? I guess you didn't have any reservations about going from Jersey down to Louisiana. So,
I was ready to go.
Okay, all right.
I was ready. I just absolutely loved it there. I still have no idea how I graduated in 4 years.
There you go. There you go. Perfect. Okay.
And I don't, but and playing a college sport, but we just had a really good coach. We had great, great teammates, and we looked out for each other. When I started, my first year was 3 freshmen, 3 sophomores, and a senior. That's it. So we really, those sophomores were our, senior class for a few years. And we just bonded really well and still keep in touch with a lot of the players, and just fortunate.
I always wonder how that works out, going to a school like Tulane in New Orleans. And then I spoke with J.C. Deacon, who's the head coach at Florida. He went to UNLV. And I just I'm like, how do you even go to class? I had a tough enough time, and I didn't I went to KU for a couple of years, and it was, that didn't help my college career. I had a lot of fun, but I didn't really see a lot of classes. But I can't imagine what that's like, going to schools like that.
Yeah, it's we just say it's a lot of fun, but you have to be very disciplined. And when it's golf season and golf time, we are all in the books, and but we had fun with it too. We were
Sure.
very, we liked going to study hall, and we would, it's a little different now. We would order pizza at study hall, and we would just do a lot of hangouts at study hall / study hall. So
Sure.
plus studying. So
Yeah.
So, but we just had a lot of fun. So.
Now you're a very successful player at Tulane, but it appears that if I'm looking at your playing resume, things really kind of blossom for you outside of college. Is it a safe assumption to say that you're a better player? You've become a better player as you've gotten older?
Yeah, it really is. Since I didn't really, I played a lot of golf growing up, but with the other sports, and I didn't learn a lot about golf until really comes back to me in like my junior year of college, when, I hit the ball a long way. But I could not putt. I just, 3 putt here, 3 putt there. And, courses back then were a little shorter. I learned my junior year that if I'm going to lay up, I need to lay up not in trouble.
Okay.
I would lay up with a 5-iron, but 5-iron was, it should have been a 6-iron. So I'm back into a bunker or something that I used to get myself in a lot of trouble. So once I start learning that, and also really truly not just because you're 1 or 2 over after the first few holes to stop counting your score. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm 2 over through 2. And that really figured that out about my junior year, and then just started to have a lot more fun with it, and just playing a lot more aggressive in a sense like that. So because I could.
Anyone that looks at your playing resume, 4-time United States Women's Mid-Amateur champion, Florida, in the state of Florida, I don't know anyone that would want to play with you, because it just appears that you've just been the amateur player of the year for the entire decade from 2010 to 2020. So I'm sure you're making tons of friends. But if I'm looking at your resume, I'm guessing, okay, there has to be some sort of a dip into the professional ranks at some point. But that really wasn't your plan. You went to be an assistant coach and then moved on and got your got a gig as the head golf coach at Ole Miss for the ladies team at Ole Miss. So I'm sure you've been asked, I'm sure you've answered it several times, but briefly, what was kind of the gap between, all right, do I turn pro? Do I not? What do I do? How did you make the decision to get into coaching?
Yeah, it was, I knew I wanted to, start my master's, and I was very fortunate. Ole Miss, I was their first paid assistant coach. And so did that for a year. And the coach that was there, Keel, they were leaving, and I got the head coaching job for 6 years, and had an incredible time. But as an assistant coach, I only had that 1 year to learn a lot, which was tough. You learn a lot from your mistakes. And, I absolutely loved coaching there. An incredible university. My brother still lives there. I was married with 2 kids, and love going to visit. And after 2006, the first Mid-Am that I won was at Old Waverly. And so I would drive back and forth. I'd do a practice round, drive back, and, go to practice. That happened for the first couple of days. And then, then I made the match play. That was my first Mid-Am that I played in. Okay. So I didn't really know what I was getting myself into at the time. Just felt really, really good that week. And I was fortunate to come out with the win, and then drove. It was nasty, awful, cold, rainy weather that final day and throughout the week as well. And I believe it was Auburn. So my assistant drove the team to Auburn, and I met them there. And the next day, and back to normal.
Yeah.
So a year after, 2007, it was the Mid-Am in Arizona. And I gave myself a chance to go to qualifying school. That particular year, it went back to back. It was 1 week in California, and normally you have a week off, and then they go to Florida for the first round. And that year, it was the first week was in California, and then the second week back to back coincided with the Mid-Am. I'm like, well, I'm not giving up on the Mid-Am, so I'm going to give myself one shot out in Mission Hills. My uncle was a member there and played the golf course several times, and knew what I was getting myself into. But I didn't make the cut, and I was just happy that I tried. I gave myself a chance, but it wasn't a very long chance. But I did it, and then I won back-to-back Mid-Ams, and since then that's all I've ever wanted to do. So yeah. It's been it's been a ride. It's been a great, fun ride.
Oh, well, we don't have enough time to go through every single accomplishment, but you name it, any sort of a major women's amateur tournament, your name's all over it, whether it's qualifying for women's amateur. I saw you qualified for the 2018 U.S. Women's Amateur in Lawrence, Kansas.
I did.
Right at Lawrence Country Club, right off of right off of the Turnpike.
My husband is from Kansas City, and I've been to a couple Jayhawks games, wow. Talk about a fun
Allen Fieldhouse.
Fun arena. My goodness.
Yeah.
So he's a diehard Jayhawks basketball fan, and he's also a member at Wolf Creek. So we had the superintendent that is now at Wolf Creek was the superintendent at Lawrence Country Club. So he caddied for me, and it was we had a blast. So it was a tough day, long day, and but we got through it and qualified for the AM.
You've had your dad on the bag for your 4 U.S. Mid-Am wins, and you've had your husband on the bag periodically. I don't want to start any sort of family squabbles here, since it does actually. I mean, it's not just family, but it's also business. But can you compare and contrast the caddying styles of these two men?
They're very well invested.
Look
they
this.
both
Look at this politically correct
well,
answer.
No,
I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding.
Yet,
I'm kidding.
They both are, so invested. They love it. They want it more than, not to say more than I do, but, their heart and soul is in playing every shot. And my game is a little different. I am, I don't think a lot out there. I just enjoy it. And my dad has been on all 4 wins, knees and hip issues right now. So he's retired. I'm sure at some point he'll come back and to drive the golf cart. And, when he can drive in, different tournaments, he's still allowed to do that.
Sure.
My husband, on the other hand, he has been fired, retired, rehired. I don't even know where it is right now.
Oh my gosh! Well,
but it's all good. It's all
That's great.
We have so much fun out there. But he gets a little too into it, and like I said, I'm a little bit more on the okay. Yep, got it. I already did the numbers in my head. I already walked it off. I already got it. So
yeah, I see that bunker. Yes, I know I need to carry it past it. Yes,
yeah. So it's entertaining, and and he's fired himself a few times too. So
Now I know that the majority of our conversation is going to revolve around you as a player, but we just talked about your caddies. But I'm just curious: have you been in their shoes? Have you been on the bag for anyone at all?
So last 2018, I am friends with Jackie Langer John, who is Bernhard Langer's oldest daughter, and she, for the first time, was able to play in the father-son, PNC father-son. So I caddied. So I grew up, one summer caddying, and I probably caddied one other time for a friend. But this is a big deal. So, it's not easy being a caddy. I give my dad and my my husband and all the other people that I've tortured throughout the years a lot of credit. So Jackie and I are staying in the same room the first night, and we're like, okay, let's set an alarm. And Bernhard's like, meet us down at 7:15 for breakfast, and then we'll go out and play the practice round. I'm always particular. I like to lay everything out, be ready to go, and the phone rings at 7:15, and 7:15, and we're like, why is the phone ringing? Well, we never set our alarms. On the Apple phone, you can swipe it.
Sure.
We never turned our alarm on. So I almost got fired before I even started caddying. And we run down there, and luckily it was just a practice round. But Bernhard took it very lightly. But that's just very nerve-wracking.
That's got to be pretty embarrassing to.
Oh my gosh, so embarrassing, and in front of everybody, and her husband was caddying for Bernhard, so he was there on time.
Uh-huh.
But but we didn't even stay up and drink. We went to bed at 9:00, so we have no excuse. I know, no excuse. But I was absolutely a nerve wreck. It was awful. So
how is that? How is that tournament? I know it's televised. I know people kind of see it's sort of like in that December silly season kind of part of the year where you see I think the Shark shootouts around that time of year, and different events like that. What's the dynamic there with some of these great legends of the game? Are they I'm sure there's probably some that are just there with a younger son or daughter, and then maybe some are a little more intense. What was your experience there, just watching that unfold?
Well, first of all, it is first class from everything that they do. They raise a lot of money. It is televised. To be that close, I've been inside the ropes on LPGA events, but a PGA event, wow. I mean, to have Jack there and John Daly with his son. His son was out there from dawn to dusk. Incredible player, incredible kid. There's just so many great stories. The parties they put on. It was just a really neat tournament because I've never done anything really like that. And the dinners beforehand with what's it called? The pro-am. Sorry, the pro-am is first class. I mean, these people pay a lot of money to play with the pros, and they just really turn it on and do the right thing. So it was really neat. But on the first hole, it starts raining. So now we got the first round of the competition. We have, not that we're nervous. Jeff and I are like dying, we're nervous, and then it starts raining. So we're like, okay, this is going to be fun. It only rained the first 2 holes, but on the first hole, they're taping everything, and the camera's right there. And Jeff is like, oh, it's 142. And I'm like, or maybe it was the second hole, 142. And I'm like, no, it can't be 142. It's, and I'm giving him another yardage. And Bernhard's, Meg, I'm doing meters, not yards.
Oops.
I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. So here I am thinking, one, I almost don't make it to the first tee box, and then second, here I am trying to.
It sounds like it's best if you just put a club in your hand and just that.
Yeah,
it's better that way.
Yeah, like I said, it's I give a lot of credit to everyone I've tortured in the past, and I'm sorry for anything, and I'll try to be a better player next time.
Jeez, this full confessional right here. Just what else do you want to get off your chest? Everything okay?
Yeah, everything's great.
Oh, okay, all right. Wow. All right. Well, let's get back on topic of you actually having a club in your hand. I think that's the safest place for you on a golf course. Let's talk a little bit about preparation, especially preparation for a mid-amateur. I guess one of the biggest challenges with whether it's, men or women, I mean, competitive mid-amateur golf, we have jobs, we have kids, we have all these different things. It takes time to prepare and, not just preparing for like, okay, I need this weekend off to go play, but you actually have to get your game ready before you actually go play. It's not like just a, weekend trip to Myrtle Beach. You got to have your game in order. How did you schedule your practice? How did you make sure that you were peaking at the right time so that you're ready to compete against the best, the best players in the country?
Back in the day, I used to practice a lot, just a lot. Right now, today we were supposed to be on the road to the USGA, the 4-ball in at Quail Creek in Naples, and starting a practice round tomorrow. So, I haven't picked up in a club in a few weeks, and I don't know as soon as golf courses are open, I'll be out there. And I enjoy playing a lot more right now. Just absolutely love it. I love any game that we can get into. Love playing with the friends, and guys, girls, doesn't matter. Just have a blast out there. So I think about golf every day mentally, and either if it's watching something on TV or if it's practicing, I'm just around the game as much as possible. But yes, the mid-ams and the professional mid-ams have jobs. They have families. They have careers, and it's not easy. But you have to figure out what's best for you in your way to practice. But like I said, I enjoy playing a lot more right now than anything, and I prefer playing in tournaments. So
Sure.
more than anything.
Oh yeah.
So you just get psyched up for just to play. So.
A lot of these tournaments you're playing in, I guess you're bumping into, some are obviously mid-am tournaments, but you're also, anytime you're playing an amateur, whether it's the Doherty or even a state tournament, you're bumping into these to juniors. You're bumping into girls that are in high school or college, and I'm guessing there have been times where they if they don't know you and they don't recognize you, they may not think that you're actually playing in the tournament. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I just hit a sore spot, I think. Whoops.
It happens with all of us, it's all of us in the mid-am range. And he forgot the 10, 11, and 12-year-olds too, because I do play a lot of golf with 9, 10, 11-year-olds in the state and even in the USGA now. I mean, the game is just that good, and these kids they're just that good right now. So
when you see them out there making mistakes just basically because of their youth, what are some things that, because I get a lot of parents that listen to the podcast, what are some of the things that you wish you could just, I mean, obviously you can't do it during a competitive round, but you wish you could just pull them aside and said, look, here are some things you need to learn because I've been through it, and these are things that I've adapted into my game that you really should try and get into yours as quickly as possible.
Well, let the kids make mistakes. The parents aren't playing. They're out there, and they should be very supportive. And when they get too involved on every detail, they're kids. It's too much when they're just every single shot. Just let them go play. Let them make their own mistakes, and watch from afar. You don't have to be there every single second of every single shot. And, they're going to learn a lot more that way too. So they'll learn more from their peers and grinding it out that way. But when it becomes not fun for the kids because the parents are involved at such a, just too much, then I think they lose interest and it doesn't become fun for them anymore. And you see that a lot, and I see that at all ages. But you just gotta know how to keep it fun and just enjoy the game as much as you can.
We've talked about the USGA titles, but also I guess one of the highlights I'd imagine from your career is playing Curtis Cup in 2008, and of all places, I mean it could just as easily have been here in the States, but you're selected to the team that plays at the Old Course in St. Andrews. I mean, I've been to St. Andrews, an amazing town, been there a couple times. You're there quite a bit. And I mean, was that your first trip to St. Andrews, or had you been there previously?
No, that was my first trip. So, so many emotions going through. And, I was 29, I turned 30 on the 30th, the first day of the of the matches. Yeah, it was pretty special. A lot of stories to that, but I had probably about 20 people fly over, friends and family, and I fell in love with it. I mean, absolutely, we had so much fun. Carol Zippel-Thompson being the captain. I mean, how can it get any better? And you're at the Old Course for the first time ever. We didn't have time to do a lot. I think I had 1 hour, and it was partly sunny, and I just ran the town because I didn't get to see the town the first visit there, which is totally fine. I got to experience things I never thought I would. And of course we won. So that was a highlight of that.
Obviously this great experience playing amateur golf and, or playing in the Curtis Cup and then St. Andrews. And I can only imagine just like very similar to Pine Valley, probably first time there. You're just kind of trying to take it all in, but it's damn near impossible. But 90, now you listen to this podcast, so you know that 90% of the conversations that I've had with my guests, they're focused around golf. And, some stories lead into different directions. And I always try and reroute them back to golf because I don't really know a whole lot more than that. But, but, let's talk about talk about your currently on hiatus caddy, your husband. So, let's chat about this. So you're, on social media, gender reveals are like this big thing, the uniqueness of the proposal, the surprise factor, all that stuff. And, we've seen the Jumbotron marriage proposals at football games, and those are little sketchy, but, and then, we've seen the ones at comedy clubs or even PGA Tour events. And I can't believe that this is the first time I'm really out in front of my skis right now. I hope you can tell that. But tell me how your husband proposed to you in 2008.
Well, let me tell you one story first. So I had my birthday. He decided to get T-shirts made that spell out "Happy 30th Birthday, Megan," and all my friends and family each had a letter, and they spelled it out, and they were on the bridge. Happy birthday! It was unbelievable. And then they went into our team room. They got permission to come into our team room, and like I said, every single person had one letter.
Oh my gosh!
It was unbelievable on that Friday. So to beat that, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is never thought for a million years that I would get proposed to on the Schuylkill Bridge on Sunday after we win. So, of course, I said yes. He said if I didn't say yes, he was going to push me into the burn. So,
I can't imagine as a golfer, as a purist, how you say no on the Schuylkill Bridge. You know you're going to get the shanks and the yips for the rest of your life if you say no.
Yeah, there was no way I was saying no. And then we went to the Old Course Hotel for, I believe it was about 500 people there at least. And Carol found out and she announced it in front of everyone. I mean, it literally it just happened like 20 minutes before that, So, but what a special time to share with the team and my friends and family that were all there. And yeah, it's been fantastic ever since.
That's a good story. That's well played. I mean, proposing on the Schuylkill Bridge. I mean, it's tough to beat that. You've played obviously all over the country, but you've also played all over the world. I mean, not just in Scotland, but you just recently were at Royal County Down for the British Am. You've played the St. Rule Trophy. This is probably the only thing we have in common. We have both played a competitive round of golf on the new course in St. Andrews. I've played the Eden Trophy a few times, so that is where our similarities. That's pretty much that's as far as it goes right there. But that's all I got.
We got that. That's good.
That's about it. We're both and Quail Ridge. I mean, we're both members at Quail Ridge. So I look forward to losing money to you this summer if we get out there. So. What do you like so much about playing internationally? I know a lot of people, whether they stay in the States, they don't maybe see what's outside of the country in different courses. What do you like so much about playing internationally?
Like I said, the first time I played was at the Curtis Cup, and I fell in love with it. I mean, you have to have every shot out there, every shot in the bag. You have to be so creative. And I've been fortunate to play in the European International Championship as well, several times. So I've played not competitively, but I think I counted the other day. I've played in about 20 different countries.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that's, half of it's competitive and half of it's, our golf clubs go everywhere. So we're always planning on playing somewhere, and, we absolutely love it. And the St. Rule, I am now a member at the St. Rule, which is, the organization right on 18th.
Yeah.
The St. Andrews Club is a men's club, and right next door is the St. Rule Club, and they put on the St. Rule Trophy. Unfortunately, it's been canceled for this year, but look forward to playing it again next year. And, I think it happens about 5 times a year that you get to play on a Sunday at the Old Course, and St. Rule is one of those days. So it's interesting because, it's a dog park on every other Sunday.
Right.
So people are out there walking, not realizing that you're actually playing a competitive round of golf. And so it's quite an adventure. And I've had the same caddy since the Curtis Cup. He actually caddied for someone else, one of the other girls on our team. My caddy is now one of the caddy masters. Caddied for me, but Alex has caddied for me for the last 4 or 5 years, and man, do we have a good time.
Yeah, I remember being there in St. Andrews one of the years, and yeah, I couldn't get over the fact that, okay, this is probably the most famous golf course in the world. I guess for the everyday golfer, I know due to TV, you can look at Augusta National and Pebble Beach, but when you really think of what is so accessible to everyone all over the world, it's the Old Course. and then literally a switch gets flipped on Sundays, and you're just like you said, it's literally just a park.
It's unbelievable. So it's you got to find another golf course, and you know what? There's a lot of golf courses in the area. So
there are plenty.
You got take your pick. So yeah, but I absolutely love playing the British Am. British Am is actually, they moved it to the same week as the US Mid-Am this year. So yeah, that unfortunately is not going to work. I was looking forward to that too. So, but you know, life happens, and you know, as long as we're safe and happy, we're going to play in whatever I can this summer. So
yeah, well, I had a golf trip canceled. I was going to be at Kiowa at the end of May, so that's definitely off. I guess, you know, I'm looking at another golf trip, so to speak, that you went on down to Lima, Peru, and boy, you know, I don't know Margaret Shirley. I know she was the reigning U.S. Mid-Am at the time, but I know Scott Harvey and I know Mike McCoy. And the four of you knuckleheads went down to Peru together to play in the Southern Amateur or South American Amateur Championship. Now, I know that Harvey won, and that's great. And I'm sure there was a lot of fun on the golf course. But knowing a little bit about you and more about Harvey and McCoy, I mean, I've heard the stories. Can you share one story about off the golf course, how much fun it was?
I mean, my stomach still hurts. I mean, just anytime, we still have, from 5.5 years ago, we still are on a group text message. And if you went back through those stories, you know,
I'd have to bleep out a lot, is what you're saying.
Oh my goodness. I just sit back and I can't even get a word in with those guys. I mean, the funniest part, I don't even think Scott had a passport before going to Lima, Peru. And so I don't think he had, but we sat up front. We were very, very lucky to sit up front. And I don't think he ate like 3 Sundays. And I kept looking over. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, hi, that's free. It's, you know, we're sitting up front. I got to have another Sunday.
Oh, I mean, first class on the plane.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, it was just absolutely hysterical. So, I mean, that's just the start of it. And it just never stopped. I mean, just one thing after another. I believe it was a 17th hole, had a difficult time hitting that fairway. And he had a few stroke lead going into the last few holes. And we go back out after we're watching. So we catch up to him. He doesn't even know we're out there. And he starts screaming, 4! And we are underneath this tree. Well, it wails Don, who was with us from the USGA, in the back so hard it bounced out. You know, he was lucky. He got like a little relief, but it hit Don so hard he had a welt on his back. And we didn't tell Scott because Scott didn't even know we were out there. So we just walked up, and you know, he ended up winning the tournament. And we told him after. He's like, no way. He's like, I hit the fairway. He's like, no, you didn't.
So this is Don Donovan, the head of security for the USGA, and yeah. Oh, that's great.
I mean, it was just in one story after another. I mean, you got McCoy, who, God, him and his cigars.
I was just going to ask you, how many cigars do you think he went through that time?
I think he paid the driver a few bucks to go get him, make sure he had the stash never was below 3. You know, and he was always on his phone. So that's when we nicknamed him Mike the Mayor. Uh-huh. So, I mean, I wish I was that important.
I don't know. Yeah, he's definitely a character. I met him at the Walker Cup last year, and yeah, he told me the whole team called him Uncle Mike because he was the oldest guy on the team in 2015.
Yeah. It's a shame that the tournament. I mean, we don't go down there anymore. But you know, I went one more time in Argentina with Stu and Julia, and we just another great trip. Just what an experience to see golf at that level too. I mean, we were the only mid-ams there. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 other players because it was all juniors, because the tournament happens in January, so a lot of the kids are in school.
Yeah.
But it was every time was a lot of fun.
It's hard to get Hagestad to come out of his shell and talk a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Oh.
He is a very popular target on this podcast. It seems like there's always a good Hagestad story floating around. So
love those guys, and don't get to see them as much because they have a lot of tournaments throughout the year, and a lot of them overlap with ours. So we don't really get to see them that much, but we stay in touch.
We talked a lot about them having a lot of tournaments, and there seems like there's no shortage of men's mid-amateurs, and not just great players, but also, like you said, the tournaments. It seems like the women's mid-am is like I guess it's the demographic in amateur golf that may be the least represented, and as far as number of tournaments and maybe as quantity of players. Is there any reasoning you can see behind it that can actually be fixed, or is it that's just the way it is? I mean, do you have any real thoughts on it?
Yeah, the men do have a lot. I mean, they can make it a full-time job, and some of them do with some of their other jobs. They're able to play in a lot of tournaments. I think with the women, back to what I was saying earlier about the juniors just being pushed through so much, after college, they're tired. They don't want to pick up a golf club again. That's one scenario. Another is, they have families and jobs.
Sure.
It's just very difficult. We have very limited amount of tournaments. This summer actually was supposed to be a handful of tournaments that new golf tournaments for mid-ams. A couple of them, the ages went down. So from 25, I believe, so some of them are going down to 22. A couple invitationals, and the FSGA added a couple tournaments where you could just, I think it was 2 days over the weekend to accrue Wagger points. So there's not much. If you go through these juniors and men's tournaments, you can see what they're playing in. And us women mid-ams, we don't have those tournaments. We can't play in a college event. We can't play in a junior event. So for us to get points to be nationally recognized is very, very difficult. So, Lauren Greenleaf should be proud of what she accomplished this past year. She took a lot of time off from work, and she played really, really well. And she made the practice squad for the Curtis Cup, and just wish her the best in this next year, because I'm not sure what's gonna happen.
It's going to be really challenging with a lot of these teams that require points and qualifications, and then also tournaments that have qualifiers. I mean, the US Am and US Women's Am coming up this summer. I hope they're coming up. You really just don't know, because it's such a massive undertaking to have qualifiers all over the country.
Yeah, I threw my calendar out this year because I pencil in every single tournament, very old school, traditional, that
get the
a
old
lot
day,
of the tournaments
day planner out.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I mean, it is like we start, the year before, because a lot of the tournaments overlap. So now you have to pick and choose which ones you're playing in. And, I'm at the age where I want to play where I want to play, and I want to play some, fun, great golf courses. Right. And I want to, if I'm going to go, I want to travel. And, so that's what I just threw out the calendar. I'm like, we're going to have to start over and figure out if we're playing and where we're playing. And it may happen, it may not. So we're all in it together, and we're all going to have to figure it out together. And, I look forward to the next championship, whenever that is.
Looking at your resume of what you've accomplished on the golf course, I mean, I can't imagine that is there anything that's missing that you're targeting? I mean, is there anything that you really kind of want to do or put that extra feather in your cap before, before you really stop playing competitively? I know it's a long way off, but is there anything missing I'm looking down the list and it just doesn't seem like there's much missing. Sorry to embarrass you, but in front of the 12 listeners, but there's a lot there. What are we missing?
I have played a lot, and every year there are different tournaments that are in different places in the country, and it does revolve, especially the next how old am I? 8 years, I guess, before I'm a senior. So, it's going to revolve around a lot of that, because there isn't a lot for us to participate in. So we're going to have to be a little creative, and any tournament or championship that I can play in. I can't think of one that I've played in 2 opens. I've played in, I think, 5 professional events. I played in the craft when it was the craft, and it's hard to say I would love to play in a British Open, but that's tough, an Open Championship, because you have to go through qualifying.
Yeah.
Just because I love it so much over there. So whatever comes up, that'll be the next excitement. So,
I mean, of all the things on your resume, I mean, where does the Florida State Mixed Shootout Championships fall? I mean, having to carry around Kevin Hammer to 4 titles. I mean, has that weighed you down in your career and caused you undue stress?
Yes, I hear about it all the time. The next major, the next major, the next major. So he's such a good player and such good family. Alexa is back in town, so that's his number 1 choice. But if Alexa's can't happen for some reason or can't play for some reason, I'll be there. But I hear about it all the time. Make sure, you're getting ready for the next major. And that would be the FSGA Mixed Shootout. So
unbelievable that I think there's maybe only 16 players in history that have 4 USGA titles to their name. And you're the one that's the first alternate on a Mixed Shootout Championship at the state level. So, wow. That'll put you in your place, I guess. As I mentioned, all right, so we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to kind of pivot back to one of the first questions I asked you. As I said, I've been stringent, trying not to fall off the wagon, eating right, not getting into the booze too much, and trying to be healthy during this quarantine, during this pandemic. But if I am really just going to, completely fall off the wagon and hurl myself into an avalanche of calories at shuck-n-dive, I mean, don't waste my time with some chicken sandwich. That's what I'm trying to say. What is really give me the best thing I can get on the menu?
Well, first of all, our Dirty Bird is an awesome chicken sandwich.
Oh, I'm sure it is, but you know what I'm getting at. You know what I'm getting at, right?
But okay. Yes, so I would start you off with oysters. It would be black and blue oysters. They're baked oysters. Then, of course, you have to do some fried green tomatoes.
Okay.
That'll just get you started. And then mahi Mardi Gras. So you got black and mahi, crawfish etouffee on top. You got some red beans and rice, coleslaw, and hush puppies. And then, of course, you got to finish it off with the homemade bread pudding, white dark chocolate with white chocolate bourbon sauce.
Wow. And I assume you just wash this all down with a nice, refreshing glass of ice water, right?
Oh, yeah. Now we got a Abita beer is unbelievable. And we sell a lot of Abita. So
that sounds pretty good. A lot better than the salads and chicken breast. I mean, that's for darn sure. Well, I will get down there as quickly as I can. I'm glad you could take some time out from all that you're doing there at the restaurant. And I know you're providing a lot of meals to a lot of people that need it. So I think that's fantastic. And, we'll try and get on the golf course as soon as possible. And I appreciate you stopping by the back of the range.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And there you have it. Special thanks to Meghan Stasi for joining me on this episode here at the Back of the Range Golf Podcast. Remember, go support that restaurant, Shuck-n-Dive. The link is in the show notes of this episode. We will have more episodes this week and next week. You know the drill. Leave a review in Apple Podcast. Follow us on social media. Go to the website, thebackoftherange.com. Have a great week. Stay safe, and we'll see you again next time here at the Back of the Range.